That's right, Raider Nations. We have Spytek cooking, baby. He is cooking out here. Let me know what you guys think. Leave in the comments below. Is Spytek cooking? Do you like what he has done with the free agency picks? With obviously with that trade that didn't happen. And what's the plan now with Max? He's gonna stay maybe till November, right? Till the trade deadline in November.
You're right.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. But today we're talking about those players that have come from other teams in the free agency market and not necessarily have been impact players, right? Guys like Jalen Naylor. And even as I want to talk about also the new guy we picked up this week, Spencer Burford, which is also a not so much impact, a guy who's in the rotation for the Niners. You know, his numbers don't impress anybody, but his snaps haven't been that many. But this guy can come in and probably give Caleb Rogers a push for the starting or for the starting role and make him a better player as well. Jalen Naylor, bro, the wide receiver picked up from Minnesota, coming into the Raiders, and he could be like the X factor, right? Another Jacoby Meyers, who maybe not as fast as Jacoby, maybe a decent route runner like Jacoby, but the guy is known for catching great catches in tight windows. I mean, 3 years. 35 million with 28 of that million guaranteed. From what I'm hearing is that this dude can play an impact on the team and push other guys like Besh and Thornton into, to trade rumors and to other options, right? So,
Right.
yeah, he's also young. So let's start with Naylor, bro. Again, we talked about that contract. It was pretty penny, but this guy was behind Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson in Minnesota, and Addison could bring in some experience that we need. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, definitely look, the first couple days of free agency, it's always trying to get starters, impact players. After that, then you're looking for depth pieces or potential. You know, us, unfortunately, we haven't had the best winning seasons. Typically organizations like that, we have to pay a little extra more.
Mhm.
When you start winning, people are like, okay, I'll take a little less to go with them
Yeah.
because I don't want to be losing. So Jalen, of course, the let's take the negative out of the way. His potential, he hasn't lived up to his potential whenever they
Mhm.
drafted him. He did get pushed back, but Justin Jefferson is that guy, and he's been that guy from the very beginning. And Addison had that like potential when he came out. So I see why he went to the back. But yeah, the guy's got speed. I haven't seen too many videos of him. I've seen like a couple videos where he was running his
Mhm.
routes and he just whooped his corner. Like he
Yeah.
left this corner and a bad throw, causes him to drop it or not reach for it. It was like a up and out route, and he just left that corner. He was wide open. Whoever, I forgot who threw it, he had to dive to try to
Yeah.
catch it, and he couldn't catch it because it was a bad throw. So he has the speed, he has the route running. So I'm pretty excited to see what he is. Like we definitely overpaid for him, but we had over 100 million contract money to spend. We needed somebody. We needed an extra receiver. We didn't want to go out and pay for the big ones. So we needed some guy to come in to be a number two, number three. He ain't going to be our number
Yeah.
one. And so, yeah, he should have a niche. He should be out there. He should be able to play. And he should be able to win against, Besh and Thornton,
Yeah.
veteran. And he's still young enough to make some moves. But I like what he's doing. I like the 3 year contracts. We're probably focusing more on 1 year contracts now. And I like the image that he's going through. There's a couple people I wanted him to get, but whenever you see the contracts come out, you're like, okay, it makes sense why he didn't want to do that. I know there's an old lineman I really wanted, and he got paid pretty good amount for 2 to 3 years. And I was like, okay, well now it makes sense why Spytek didn't want to go that route because that O line had like had a real history of injuries. He's like, I think it's been a while since he played a full season.
Yeah.
So I see
Yeah. Yeah.
why he was trying to go for like a lower, yearly. So I like the pickups. Like I said, these are not supposed to be our game changers or number one guys. But if he does become our number one guy, like, because it happens. If he becomes and he takes that
Yeah.
step forward because, he's the
Yeah.
guy, now we got him for 2 years 3 years on a reasonable contract. And we just gave Mendoza a great receiver. So I like it. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I do think still that the Raiders will look for their number one in the draft. I mean, from what I've seen, there's a lot of good wide
Hopefully, yeah.
receivers. There's definitely some choices out there that in
Yeah.
the fourth or fifth round that I've seen, and there's still some
Mm-hmm.
pretty decent names, right? But so I
Exactly, yeah.
expect, yeah, I expect them to still look for their number one in the in the draft. But Jalen Naylor, bro, he was
Mhm.
brought in. Like I said in the early reports they were talking about, he was brought in as a slot receiver, which we know Bowers is that guy, and
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so and then that also brings up Besh, right? And so what's gonna happen to a guy like Besh that was is brought in mostly for his blocking skills and that tight window types, almost the same identity as Naylor, and then Thornton, who
Yep.
hasn't really lived up to the hype necessarily, right? But I mean, this is a fourth round pick,
Hmm.
and he's also learning in the process. So yeah, the guy shows
Yeah.
flashes in training camp and
Preseason and
preseason
training
and all
camp.
that.
Hmm.
Exactly. So Thornton, that is,
Hmm.
and then he shows up in real game time and
Right.
can't make it happen. So yeah, it's
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
experience that I want to see Naylor show up with and make him advance. And now again, this
Mhm.
guy in every year has improved. It's like he had some challenges and then he would
Yeah.
improve from those challenges. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm hoping that he will turn out to
Yeah.
be that Jacoby Myers type X factor. But
Right.
the way Spytek is
Right.
going
Right.
about these picks, bro, or these free agency pickups, is yeah, some players that if it felt like how he did the linebackers last year, which was Landon Roberts and like these
Yeah.
players who had some experience,
Hmm.
but they were like on the end side of their careers.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
mean, you seen
Yeah. They weren't the big money plays.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but you saw them play hard.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You saw
Yep.
Sherman and all
Yep.
that, and I don't think maybe those weren't not Sherman. What's his name? The safety linebacker hybrid,
Oh, Jamal
Jamal
Adams.
Adams.
Oh,
So
or yeah, Jamal Adams. Yeah.
Jamal Adams. Yeah, yeah. So, but they play hard, and they may have not
Hmm.
been all
Hmm.
Spytek. That could have been Pete as well, right? Pushing for those players, but at the same time, he didn't make contracts that would give these guys 2 years, 3 years. These were all prove it deals, and I think this as well, right? Jalen Naylor's contract is a prove it deal,
Exactly.
so to an extent. So
Exactly. Yeah. Very different than what we did this year with the linebackers. Like they saw Quay Walker and the Kobe Dean. They're like, these guys can actually be part of our future. Like, they're still young enough. They're still active. They're downhill guys. Walker being, more of a coverage guy and the Kobe Dean more of a run stopper. So these are people that are still young enough that he can see we build
yeah,
upon. And we didn't give him no crazy contract.
yeah,
Let's not give these guys a ton of money or 2 years where it's affecting our contracts. Give them 1 year. They're solid guys. They come in, they do their job. If we like them, we'll keep them longer. If not, next season, same thing. Now, N'Kobe Dean and Quay Walker, that seems more of like, okay, we can grow with these guys. These guys are gonna be
yeah,
part of our defense growing
yeah,
up. So that's definitely a good part. And then you think about like all the contracts, bro. Like the two best receivers was Mike Evans and Wendell from the
yeah,
Giants. Mike Evans got 60 mil for 3 years at a 33-year-old receiver. Ton of
yeah,
money. And we can't use like
yeah.
seeing what
That's not
obviously
smart.
Jalen may have seen like an overpay, but it seems like that's just how the market was.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I haven't seen Spytek go anything crazy. If we're going with the mindset like, losing costs you more in free agency, then I feel like we've been doing pretty good with the money we
Yeah,
spent. Obviously the center we have to overpay because we wanted to take him from the Baltimore Ravens. And then in the end, they traded us Max Crosby for it, so that was working out well. And so yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I like the moves as he
that's what I'm
did.
saying.
Everything right now are just gonna be minor depth moves or somebody like, hey, we'll give you a chance if you show out, then we'll talk about staying longer.
Yeah,
So
no, he's
I'm
foreseeing
excited.
those things, and that's what I'm giving credit
Hmm.
for. Is that he's not
Hmm.
going ahead and giving some ugly
Yep.
ass contracts that will tie a player in for a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Hmm.
That yeah, they're not gonna be
Exactly.
there. They're not gonna
No risk.
perform,
Hmm.
right? So,
Hmm.
and even
Yeah.
up to
And they won't take a fat chunk of. Yeah.
that's exactly what I mean. And
Hmm.
even the Max Crosby trade, right? I mean, who was gonna think that the Ravens gonna back out of that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like maybe he could have traded Max in December, or at least start looking at trading Max in December
Right.
before the surgery, and they
Hmm.
could have done this, but obviously they wanted to keep him. And whatever happened, they said, okay, fine, we'll go ahead and give you a trade to Max because Max was bitching,
Right.
but
Right.
but he
Right.
was
Exactly.
still
Yeah.
foreseeing that he had all this cap, all this leverage, right? But for trading back, and
Right.
then
Right.
that trade going bad and keeping Max now in the roster, he still has enough to pay Max, and probably he's going to restructure that deal as well. So if they want to
Yeah.
keep Max, they're going to
Hopefully.
restructure that deal eventually. So
Right.
you know, that's the thing. That's what I'm getting to is that Spytek has put these chips in place, right?
Yeah.
And I see that as a good thing for the
Yeah.
organization in the long run, and not necessarily a short term fix because everybody's pissed off of the whole
Hmm.
issue that happened a couple weeks ago with Max. So, because imagine what if we didn't have that cap space, right? And we take Max, we wouldn't be able to sign
Exactly.
Linderbaum. Yeah,
Exactly. I think it would have definitely, maybe we wouldn't have gone as high as 81 for 3 years. I also think like maybe when they thought they had the 14th round pick, they're like, okay, we could spend this on a receiver maybe. So let's not get the top of the line receiver. Let's get somebody that's
yeah,
decent that can show out. Maybe did it need a change of
yeah,
scenery, and then we'll use the 14th round pick to like somebody with potential. So I thought that that could have been one route. The extra 30 million. Obviously, if Max was there, we wouldn't have gone after Quiddy. Maybe we would have only gone after one of the linebackers instead of two, since we were like, all right, we have a game
yeah,
record as a D
yeah.
lineman. I don't know if them getting Dean and Walker is because they were like, okay, well, we don't have that game record up front,
Yeah.
so we need to have more balance. So that changes up a lot of things. The best case for us was that the fact that we had the second most cap space, so we were able to ingest Crosby back in. And then just like good organizations are supposed to do, they honor their contracts and trade. So the Raiders were like, yeah, we got all this money back, we got y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I still think maybe one or two different players, either addition or subtraction, if we would have kept Crosby from the very
Right.
beginning. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we're just a more solid depth team. I don't think we've had a team that's like, and obviously we've had players with better names and bigger names, but I don't think we've had such a solid like all around team, or a solid potential all around team that we can actually put out there and not be one of the worst franchises in
I
history.
mean, shit. One more year
you know,
of 4-13, bro. We could be there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And
yeah,
and
yeah. I
it
mean,
it'll be rough,
Mendoza,
but
yeah,
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 Mendoza, what?
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be down to Mendoza. Like I hate putting pressure on the rookie. I mean, you've seen it where rookies have gone play teams to the playoffs and then obviously lose in the first round. But it's like I would love to get that for Max to keep him on the team. But at the same time, it's like, if you're not in the
Yeah,
playoffs, you're in the middle of the draft. What do you're in no man's
yeah,
land. Or you want to be in the top 5 or 10 picks so you can get an impact player that can change
yeah,
everything. So it's like being in that middle ground, you're
yeah,
not going to make the playoffs, but you get thrown out in the first round. I hear so many Steelers fans is like, I'll take a full losing season to get the quarterback we want to get and then have the potential of winning another Super Bowl then. Always making the playoffs,
yeah.
losing in the first
I
round,
mean, yeah, I get it. It makes a lot of sense. But you just don't want to be the
Mhm.
Titans. You don't want to be the Browns where you're always in the five and
Yeah,
you still
you
can't
don't want,
develop.
yeah. Like I don't know what that's going on over there. Those two,
Yeah,
like the Titans should be spending money on offense, but they're spending most of their money on defense. I'm glad what we're doing. We got that center, one of the most important pieces on that O line that was missing.
right,
We got
right.
him. We got the rookie quarterback. JPJ is in his spot that he's going to be there. Like we're not going to feel like, oh, is he center? Is he guard? And that was like Pro Bowl center. All right, you're guard. Let's just do it like that. Colton Miller back, you know, Cross, what we don't know what we're going to get with him. I keep hearing so many people talk about his potential, his footwork, the way he moves. So he has the ability to be like elite. So, I'm excited to see what he can do. And then Mendoza, like, if he can get the ball to the people that matter on our offense, if Bowers can get the ball, like we can do some damage. Like I don't know what we're gonna
Yeah,
do. I don't want to say playoffs, but I want to look functional. I want to look like we know what we're doing or know what we're trying to get to.
yeah,
So
exactly. Well, I mean, speaking of the draft coming in next month, my guy, it's definitely
Raiders.
gonna be at least projected mock drafts from the NFL. What's it, Chad Reuter? He's projecting that we pick up a wide receiver at number
Rooter.
36. So Dizon
Yeah.
Stribling, right, from
So
Mississippi.
that.
And
Mm-hmm.
so let me see,
Mm-hmm.
was he in? Nope, not on my list.
So that tells me like, yeah, we were going to use the 14th round pick on a receiver. That kind of like gives me like a confirmation right there. Like, yeah,
Yeah, well, it
I
looks
like
like they
it. I
could do
mean,
that, right? I mean, wide receiver and for as
yeah,
the number one
yeah.
receiver coming out of the draft.
Yeah, we just got to make it fit. I mean, we have a slot guy, we have a route guy, we need a possession guy. I don't know if they considered Bowers as the possession guy, but we should have a possession receiver as well.
Yeah. No, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. And now you have Naylor.
I mean, two different skill sets. Um, but yeah, we could. I just want them to learn. Thornton is the one that I feel bad about. I don't not feel bad, but it's the one I'm worried about the most because he had all this potential, all this speed, and then they just gave him like, do not even dress up.
Damn. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so yeah, hopefully he can get it together. Besh seems like he can get that. I don't know if Besh can be like some badass receiver or anything, but if he can be like, a watered down Heinz Ward, that would be awesome. Heinz Ward, you can depend on him on a catch
Yeah.
and you can depend on him to block and you can depend on him to be a professional. So if we can get that out of it, he has a place in the offense. Trey Tucker, that one's going to be a little tough. He showed potential, but that's, Josh McDaniels and the other guy's guy. They drafted him. So, he might be like a trade piece later on, whatever we do with this draft and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But, like, yeah, he's the other one that we need to worry about. And then Michael Myers as well.
All right. We'll
Yeah.
do the mock draft
Mhm.
next time to see. We got to look into more of these players, but I guess I had a list of players who aren't on anybody's mock drafts right now.
Mock
Yeah.
draft. Sleeper picks.
Radar personnel.
The ones you're not thinking
Yep.
of. Rated.
All right.
Potential all-stars.